Hello, I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
And I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. There's so much happening in our credit union political and regulatory world as far as people posturing and introducing potential legislation or political posturing for the incoming administration of 2025. Believe me, I just sat in on the NCUA public hearing about their budget. Ugh. But much of what's going on is kind of grim, so I'm going to zag here. I don't want to fully get into end of the year discussions for 2024. We'll have that conversation in the final episode of the year. But I want to ask my dear friends, Natasha and producer Zach, a very important holiday season related question. The question is this: do you have a favorite holiday cocktail or drink?
Ooh, well, I love the diversion, first of all,
Okay,
Michael. Great
you
way
bet.
to segue from politics going into 2025 to drinking. Those two seem to go together well.
Sure.
Yeah, so when I thought about this a little earlier,
Okay.
'cause I'm about to head home back up to Oregon for the holidays next week.
Mhm.
There's one drink, and I haven't made it in a while, but I used to make it a lot at holiday parties, and it's just a pomegranate martini, like with the all the pomegranate seeds in the glass. Very
Okay.
basic. I think it's just like vodka and pomegranate that pomegranate juice. So, yeah, that kinda comes to mind for me when it comes to a holiday drink, but really when
I
it comes
love
down to
that.
it, I'll just drink anything during the holidays, like
Okay, there's that too, sure.
wines. I love a good French 75.
Oh,
That's,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
a
do
good
like
one. I'll
that.
have to make that when I get home. It's gin, champagne, lemon juice, and simple syrup,
Mhm.
basically. And another thing, I also like trying different ciders. So up in
Oh,
Oregon, there's a lot of different really neat craft cider options, even just at any
yeah.
grocery store. So I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to trying those because I don't seem to be able to get those as much down in California at these grocery stores. So yeah, looking forward to that. Lots of drinking.
All good ideas. I love that pomegranate martini. Zach, what about you?
Not necessarily cocktails, but end of year holiday season is dark beer and stout season.
Oh, sure.
So I tend to go for hoppier, but when the sun starts setting early and it's cold,
Mm.
give me something super dark. There's a brewery in Cincinnati, Mad Tree, that
Okay.
makes my absolute favorite beer. It's called Thunder Snow. It's a Scottish strong stout, and it is only available this time of year. So
Do they pick it fresh, like, right off the tree? Is it that kind of a thing? I
yeah,
just
they pick up the Scottish brewers
yes.
fresh off the trees and
Yep.
bust them in.
Put them in their little basket. And where what was the name of that brewery again?
Mad Tree.
Mad Tree, and that's in Cincinnati.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Mine is very similar-ish to yours, Natasha. There is, and I only make this during these holiday, wintry, dark months. And it's a recipe I got from this PBS show hosted by this incredible chef named Patty Heenich. Look her up. She's fantastic. She's
Hmm.
from Mexico. And it is this special pomegranate tequila punch that is
Ooh.
amazing. And it tastes like you're talking about, Natasha. It's almost like a tequila pomegranate cider.
Ooh.
It's cinnamony, a little lemon, and a tiny bit sweet, but also tart from the pomegranate juice. Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Oh
It's
my gosh. I think you sent me the recipe for that a while back, but you might have to send
oh,
it to me again.
okay.
That does sound absolutely delicious.
I make a double batch.
Yeah, my question was gonna be, do you make it? Because you said it's a punch, do you make, like, a punch bowl full of it at
I have a
once, and then
full
how do you drink it all yourself, or is it for, like, a
yeah.
party?
Well, it also has jalapeno in it, and I strain that out. I let it steep in a
Okay.
fresh jalapeno, and then I strain all that out, and then it fills up a huge pitcher full of the punch.
Nice, nice.
It's
And
wonderful.
is it one that you like to share, like, with others, or is it you just
Oh,
make
yeah,
it for
I'll post a
yourself?
link in the show notes, sure.
Okay, yeah.
It's great. Patty
Alright.
Heenich, PBS, that's where I got it.
Alright,
All
yum.
right.
Bottoms up.
Okay, bottoms up, don't drink and drive, all of that. Let's get to the show. Welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Coming up, we're talking with Joseph Pellissery. He is SVP of Technology and CIO at Wescom Credit Union out in the Los Angeles area. We love Joseph. Joseph has been working in the tech space since the early 90s and previously spent 15 years at Bank of America before coming over to the credit union side in 2019. You can bet this guy has some great insights on how technology has evolved in the financial services space over the years. We're going to talk about that, AI, a lot of stuff today. Please stay tuned for that. First up, though, we have to take our weekly break with Natasha. Come on in.
Hey.
Hey, Em.
Hey, hey, Em.
How are you?
I am good. I am good. And I am thinking about that tequila recipe. I'm wishing I was having it right now, having a bowl of
I
that.
will share the trick. I've made it God knows how many times, but the trick really is to let everything steep
Hmm.
overnight. And I'll show you the recipe
Okay.
and it'll make sense. Steeping overnight in the fridge, and then you strain it all out. And my God, it's so good the next day.
Wow. Okay.
It's really, really good. I want to ask really quick, have you watched anything interesting this past week?
Yes, there's one movie I wanted to mention. It had been on my
Okay.
list for a while, and then I saw it was available on, I believe, Hulu. It was a horror movie. So
Okay.
a lot of people are watching Hallmark Christmas movies and getting in that spirit. I'm
They
still
are.
watching horror, so that's kind of where my
Hmm.
mind is, which you can probably relate to.
Sure.
The movie was Late Night with the Devil.
Oh,
Yeah.
and?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. It's really eerie and,
Hmm.
this sense of dread. And the way it's filmed, the way it's presented, it's really cool because it's basically about a fictional late night TV show from the 70s, like a Johnny Carson, but it's another guy that's made up doing it as a
Hmm.
late night host. And he does a special Halloween episode, kind of like our podcast.
Yeah.
It made me think of
Great.
that, but then it goes terribly wrong.
Okay.
It's almost as if you're a viewer watching it and watching like
Yeah.
you're watching footage of
Mhm.
the recording, and it shows, like, just these breaks in the recording as if, you were watching TV in the '70s, and so that I
Yeah.
thought was cool, added to the creepy element. I loved it. I
Uh-huh.
would highly recommend it.
I will watch it. It is on my list on
Okay,
Letterboxd to watch, so I'll get to that. That's
great.
good. I'm glad you liked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it was great. What about you? Are you still into horror as well, or
You know what? I've taken a bit of a break.
Oh, okay.
I realized I needed, like, just give me a good old drama, you know?
Hmm.
And I was just so in the mood for it. And I found this movie the other night on Netflix. It's been out since 2019. It's called The King with Timothy Chalamet, who I
King?
really like. I really like him.
Yeah.
It's about, he's Henry V. So
Oh,
like
I didn't know
15th
he did that.
century.
Huh. Oh, that's
It didn't get great reviews at the time, but I didn't mind it at all. It's kind of a long movie, but just a straight drama. And I was just, I think, in the mood for it.
sure.
It was good. And again, Timothy
Cool.
Chalamet is so good.
Yeah, he's
And
really really enjoy him, yeah.
what a skinny dude.
It wasn't really talked about much, so I haven't out of all his
Well,
movies, he's known
I
for
think it was an early
photos, but
pandemic-y type thing.
Oh, okay.
It kind of came out and then the pandemic hit. So I think that is what happened looking at the timeline of release.
That makes sense, sure.
So anyway, The King. I gave it 3 stars.
Cool. Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, as we're recording this, next week is Thanksgiving, so we're gonna have
Hmm.
some days off, and hopefully we'll have some good movies to chat about when we
Oh yeah.
return, because we'll have lots of watch time. I haven't really even thought about that yet, but I'm sure there's plenty of things to catch up on
Yeah.
as far as what's on my list. So let's go ahead and move on to the interview then, shall we?
Okay.
So here I have a little teaser of the interview,
Hmm.
for our listeners here. Just a few things that stood out. It was an excellent interview. I mean, he just has a real wealth of knowledge about
He
technology
does.
based on his background. We had a really great time. Three things that stood out to me. One, he told us a very touching, heartwarming story of how a credit union helped him out when he first moved to the US from India in the late
Hmm.
90s.
Yeah.
Second thing, he explains why Wescom Credit Union has not named its chatbot yet. Very interesting to find that out.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah, and also provide some really solid advice for other credit unions that are just getting started with AI. So we really
100%.
appreciated that. We have all that coming up next.
Hey, listeners, I want to tell you about our exclusive editorial product for subscribers only called the Executive Briefing. If you haven't heard about it, here's what it is. It's a monthly newsletter available by subscription only. It's comprised of exclusive editorial content that we work on and analysis of credit union data, trends, and news, information you're not going to find anywhere else. It's only available by subscription. So I've said that a couple of times. I'm going to stop. You're going to get access to this content only in your inbox to help grow the organization, better serve members. In September, if you remember that month, we analyzed AI tools used by credit unions. In October, we broke down the overdraft and NSFE landscape. And in November, we broke down the donations given by credit union lobbyists to those candidates. And what did that mean for the election? To subscribe, go to cutimes.com/subscribe. That's cutimes.com/subscribe. This is one of the new ways we're expanding our CU Times digital world for you, the executive briefing at cutimes.com/subscribe.
Joining us in the virtual studio today is Joseph Pellissery, SVP of Technology and CIO at Wescom Credit Union in the Los Angeles area. Hey, Joseph, welcome to Shared Accounts.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited for the conversation
Love
today.
to have you here, Joseph.
Happy to have you. So, Joseph, wanted to talk a little bit about your background first to start us off here. So, looking at your LinkedIn page and your past career history, it looked like you were at B of A for almost 15 years before moving over to Wescom in 2019. And we love that. We love seeing former bankers come over to the credit union industry. So, I was curious if you could just tell us a little bit about how you made that transition from Bank of America to Wescom. And was there anything specific that appealed to you about moving from a big bank over to a credit union?
It has been a blessing to be part of Wescom for the last 5 years. And as you mentioned, coming from a big bank experience, I see that there is a lot of teamwork and collaboration here at Team
Mhm.
Wescom. And after the experience that I had at Bank of America, I was involved with the merger of Countrywide, also the acquisition of Merrill Lynch.
Mm.
So, consolidating systems, consolidating data, creating a single consistent consumer view was an experience that was also needed at Wescom. When I first met with Darren Williams, our CEO, our COO, Keith Pipes, and when I heard the vision that Wescom was embarking on to create a single, consistent 360 view of the member, fundamentally answering the question, show me that you know me, was very appealing to me. And of course, when I first moved to the US, I was born and raised in Mumbai,
Mhm.
India, nobody would offer me a credit card. And the first credit card that was offered to me was from a credit union. So I always knew that credit unions serves in the best interest of the members, but never had the opportunity to work for a credit union. But when this opportunity came along, met with the senior leadership team, and then beyond that, when we met with the C-suite during the interview process, I saw what the journey could be. And then I was blessed. When I met with the broader team Vascom, I was convinced that I made a great decision.
Mhm.
And so the last 5 years have been amazing. And what I've been doing here is sort of replicating the journey from Bank of America for Vascom,
Yeah.
where Vascom has been in business for so many years, has a wide variety of financial products and services, and hoping we can dig into all of the data, API, and AI strategies that we've been delivering here at
Oh,
Vascom.
yeah, that's coming up. But can I ask really quick, Joseph, since you mentioned it, do you remember the name of the credit union that gave you that first credit card?
The name of the credit union is Digital Credit Union. And Shruti and I are connected as well. I'm very
Oh,
happy for the new journey that DCU is embarked on after this big merger in our credit union
yeah,
industry.
absolutely. Well, again, thanks for pointing that out. That was touching, and I just wanted to call out the credit union if you knew. And you reminded me, Joseph, right before we started recording that we actually did a webcast together. Gosh, it's been some time ago, and I'm happy to have you on here to dig in to, like you're talking about, some of the AI stuff, technology things. And that's kind of my first question here is how has your role, responsibilities, and focus changed in the area of technology since you joined Wescom?
When I first joined Vascom back in
Hmm.
2019, my responsibility was to oversee end-to-end technology needs for Wescom. And I was also a part of the board. For those of you who may not know, Wescom is a 6.4 billion in AUM, assets under management. We serve over 250,000 members. We have 30 branches
Hmm.
now. And in addition to serving our members and our communities with financial products and services, Wescom also owns a technology QSO called WRG,
Okay.
Wescom Resources Group. And we have 105 clients of our own. The combined asset size is over 140 billion.
Wow.
We serve over 6 million consumers based on WRG. And so that was my bit of responsibility when I first joined Wescom. And then over the years, back in August of 2021, Dan Williams, our CEO, was gracious enough to align two business organizations to my responsibility:
Hmm.
payment systems and then digital channels. And for a technologist to come in and manage business teams was a refreshing change for me. There was a lot of learning involved, how to manage a P&L. So it's been a great ride since August 2021. And then in October of 2023, which is last year, time flies,
Yeah.
I'm officially the chairman of Wescom Resources Group. So the entire WRG team now reports up to me as well.
Amazing.
So it's been a great journey. And what we've always focused here at Wescom, and what I first heard in my interview and till date, is to deliver business value with
Mm.
technology. And that has always been our core philosophy. I always remind my team, my leadership team, when you invest in technology, when you spend time in innovation like AI, machine learning, always ensure that the core focus is to add business value for all our peers around us. And that's what we've been focused on for the last 5 years.
Right.
Okay, excellent. So, Joseph, let's dig a little more into AI. And this is a topic that we've had so many guests on our podcast want to talk about. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
so big, and we love hearing the different perspectives. But yeah, you talked about kind of your overall philosophy and how that ties into things like AI. Can you elaborate a little more on what is Westcom's relationship with AI and AI tools currently, and how are you approaching it? What are some of the main use cases that you're using it in?
Great question. As I mentioned, Wescom has always been a leader when it comes to technology, not just because of the technology capabilities for our members, but also because of WRG. We serve other credit unions, manage their data, host their core systems and delivery. So if you look at our overall budget, there is a lot of expense associated with technology to make sure that we are always innovating. And so while the buzz for AI has grown in the last 2 to 3 years, Wescom has always used technologies that was available earlier than generative AI or a little
Hmm.
bit earlier than machine learning. So as an example, with RPA alone, robotic process automation, over the last 3 to 5 years, we have eliminated 30,000 manual hours. And so this is before generative AI. And now with generative AI, we are partnering with Microsoft
Hmm.
Copilot, also partnering with Amazon Web Services. And then there are other partners who are focused on the financial services domain, taking the base models that are available in the open source and building custom models. And so we are partnering with them to make sure that our AI investments are not duplicative and it complements and supplements what we are working on. So, just to give you an example for the generative AI
Yeah.
implementation, I'm sure all of us, when we call a big financial institution or even your telephone
Hmm.
company, we've had the experience where you get transferred from one department to another. And it's a little frustrating for our members, is also time consuming for our team
Yeah.
members. So the first use case that we delivered was the first touch call resolution. So if a member calls into the contact center or if a member walks into the branch and if they have a question about their credit
Right.
cards, typically, depending on how wide and deep the answer could be, the branch team member or the contact center team member would transfer the call to the card services
Yeah.
department. And our goal is to eliminate or avoid that scenario. And so we developed an AI bot. We fed it all the knowledge base information that we have here at
Hmm.
Wescom, organized it in a way where now the branch team member or the contact center team member can ask the question about the card services issue that the member was calling about
Yeah.
and get that question answered right there, right then, and then provide that information back to the member without the need to transfer the call, without the need for the member waiting the first 3 minutes for the first
Hmm.
call, another 3 to 5 minutes to be call to be transferred. And then maybe the call was transferred if it's a card issue, and if it's a dispute,
Yeah.
then you go to one department. But if it's related to fraud, you go to another department. So our goal is to enable this first touch call resolution and minimize and enable that member experience that Wescom is very, very proud
Yeah.
of. And then, of course, another use case is about the lost stolen cards. If someone
Hmm.
just emails it to that information to Wescom, the bot picks it up, it automatically processes the response, it updates the system, and a new card is mailed back to the member. So it is amazing what we've been able to accomplish here at Wescom in a short period of
Hmm.
time. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Sure.
There's a lot more that we can deliver, and we are super excited on how we can deliver the ultimate Wescom member experience.
Fantastic. And a follow up to that, really quick. At Wescom, did you all name your AI chatbot?
That's an excellent question, Michael. So I took that question to our board.
Okay.
If you look at the broader market, Bank of America, where I came from, the bot is named Erica. Wells Fargo has Fargo. But if you look at Chase, I don't believe Chase has named the bot yet.
Okay.
So we have not named our bot yet.
Okay.
So that's a discussion point. I want to make sure that we position the intelligence. And there are different thought process to that idea or that approach because our members are with Wescom. They love to
Hmm.
bank with Wescom. They love Wescom as a credit union. It's because of the human
Yeah.
interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when we bring in new age capabilities, we want to make sure that the human aspect is always in play and front and center for our members. So when you bring in a bot and you name a bot, then there is a perception out
Yeah.
there. There's pros and cons to both approaches. So right now,
Mhm.
we have not named our bot yet, but we're going to continue to deliver value. At some point, depending on what the broader ecosystem drives us and the
Okay.
value,
Yeah.
focusing on the member, we may name the bot. But right now, we are following a model without naming the bot.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Okay.
for that update. That's fun.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point because I know that's something we've talked with others about is how do you balance using technology, using
Oh,
AI
yeah.
to help streamline, cut out manual processes for employees, but then also not lose the human touch. So that's interesting that you say that naming the bot might make people think that I mean, they realize, okay, well, I know I'm not talking to a person. So it kind of separates them more from the human, maybe, but that's really interesting to think about.
And then as a follow-up, right, in how
Yeah.
you deliver those insights is also important
Mm.
because if you have a mobile app and if your mobile app is providing those insights in a meaningful way as part of the mobile experience, you don't really need to separate that and make it a different component or entity. I think we could spend an hour speaking about
Yeah.
that, and I'll be happy to update all of you when we arrive at that decision
Oh,
at some
please.
point.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to find out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, Joseph, you talked a little bit about how your use of AI is helping the member. It sounds like they're having a much better experience. Obviously, they're not having to take as many steps and all that. When it comes to improving operational efficiency in the credit union, you did mention that you were able to reduce the number of hours employees spend doing manual tasks, which is awesome. Is there anything you can elaborate on about how you're using emerging technologies, including AI, to improve operational efficiency within the credit union?
Yes, and this is a very important focus for us. So, as a credit union, we focus on our core strategic objectives. Member growth, growing new members, is a very key pillar. Member engagement is another focus. So, just to give you some numbers, the percentage of new members joining Wescom digitally was under 18% 5 years ago. So if you think about the most of the new members joining Wescom was coming in from the brand channels
Yeah.
or from the contact center channel. With the capabilities that I mentioned earlier, by the end of 2022, we were at 48% percentage of new members joining digitally. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it was a shock in a way for the trade union because the members preferred a channel to join without speaking to anybody. And so the next step was, now how do you engage those members? So, because when you have a new member walking into a branch and they prefer to come into a branch, there is a certain approach to engaging them with their life goals, helping them with their financial objectives, helping them with their next investment. But when someone's digital, that engagement model changes. So then what we did is we stood up an enterprise CRM system,
Yeah.
and we started pushing AI insights into the digital and the enterprise CRM for branches and contact center. And so another number, we follow a metrics called signature penetration.
Hmm.
That is, we measure in the first 90 to 120 days after a member joins, how deep do they go in terms of engagement. And that percentage was again around 20% a few years ago, and now we are at 30%.
Okay.
So these are some of the wins that we have for trade unions. And of course, with machine learning, we are partnering with another organization called Data IQ. We developed something called as the churn score. So just to make it simple, if you have a churn score, it's a score between 1 and 100. If you have a churn score that is 90 plus, that means the member is likely to leave
Hmm.
Wescom. And if you have a churn score of less than 10, which is the other end of the poll, it's a long-term member looking to do more with Wescom. So we display that score on the enterprise CRM, on the member 360 view. So when a branch team member and a contact center team member is interacting with a member, they have the benefit of seeing that score and then positioning the conversation accordingly.
That's
Because if
interesting.
someone's talking to you who's probably to leave Wescom, you're going to talk about how you're going to retain
Yeah. Yeah.
them as opposed to the other members. So these are some of the capabilities that we've delivered and how Wescom is
I
benefiting.
love that practice that you're talking about there and how you're using AI in that to really, really personalize the experience. That's
Mhm.
amazing. I haven't heard, Natasha, have we heard anything about a score like that before?
Never. No, I have
No,
not
I
heard
love
that.
that.
So
So, if you would allow, Joseph, we could dig in a little bit deeper about your policies. How did Wescom, or does Wescom, I assume, they have in place AI policies to ensure responsible and ethical AI use?
So we implemented a data governance committee 4 years ago. We call it the Data and Analytics Steering Committee. And that committee comprises of senior leadership and system experts and data stewards from across the organization. So it covers both data and analytics. And now we are expanding the responsibility of that committee to implement governance for AI as well.
Okay.
So, as a financial institution, we have lending, we have deposits, we have investments, we have insurance. We want to make sure that we are always ethical, we are responsible, and we don't introduce or we should not introduce bias
Hmm.
into any of the AI capabilities that we're implementing. And so that is, from my perspective, is going to be accomplished with governance and controlled testing. So if our lending systems are based on auditors from NCUA and from external organizations, they come in and look at our lending demographics, income metrics, location of the property, neighborhoods, and we get flying colors every year. When we introduce
great.
AI into the mix, we want to make sure that our decisions from an underwriting system and overall approval systems are consistent as well.
Yes.
So, based on the effort from this governance committee, control testing, before we release these AI driven decisions to the members, we're going to test these AI driven decisions with our team members. And we want to compare. It's going to be testing in parallel. We want to make sure that our current systems and the AI driven systems deliver decisions in the same capacity and the same outcomes.
Mhm.
And then it's going to be a learning experience. It's going to be an iterative process. And ultimately, when we feel comfortable, the AI driven engines are meeting the objectives of Wescom of fair lending, fair deposits, fair insurance, fair
Yeah.
investments. That is when we're going to release those engines and capabilities directly to the member.
Okay.
So that's our journey.
Cool. Absolutely. And just as a quick follow-up to that, what about when it comes to just employees at Wescom? Is there a AI use policy? Like, I don't know if, I'm saying your marketing department, if they're using Chat GPT to help them write or things like that. I'm just curious, is there a policy like with your employees and also to make sure they're not, sharing like member information through these types of tools or anything like that?
Yes, that's another great question. So we do not allow use of public facing chat GPT on corporate Wescom devices.
Okay.
So that's a policy that we have implemented. But we have our own chatbot, which is driven by Wescom information. So the team members have access to that. Now,
Okay.
in some cases, like your example, the marketing team, or there could be some other individuals who benefit from deriving information from the public domain. So the key is, if you step back in terms of the policy, is we want to make sure that the Wescom information does not trickle into the public domain.
Right.
So that's where one aspect of the policy is focused. And then the other aspect is when we bring in information from the public domain into the Wescom ecosystem, it is monitored and audited. So if we have an exception for certain departments or individuals to bring public information or some interface with public information, it's audited, it's logged, and it's monitored. So it's a dual purpose policy to make sure that at the end of the day, our biggest concern is we don't want proprietary Wescom information to filter into the public domain. And we have partnerships with Microsoft AI, and just like on the cloud, you have a SQL Server database. Microsoft ensures that that data and that domain is exclusively for your organization. So we are building similar models with Microsoft. So as we mature, we want to make sure we can leverage the complete potential of AI and at the same time not compromise Wescom and member proprietary information.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some good guardrails in there then for sure. Okay, so now just kind of stepping back, looking a little bit beyond just your work at Wescom with AI. Obviously, a lot of different credit unions and banks are starting to use AI. It's kind of in its infancy right now. I've heard people compare it to the beginning days of the internet. I'm sure there's a lot of trial and error with the whole process. I'm just wondering from your perspective, just looking out at the whole industry, the financial services industry is using AI, is there anything that you think some are getting wrong, things that they shouldn't be doing, or things that really are errors in that trial and error process where you think maybe they're focusing on the wrong things, should be shifting their focus at all? If you have any thoughts on that?
My thought is that any organization embarking on this AI journey needs to ensure a couple of steps prior to initiating that journey. An organization needs to ensure that they have a good, solid data foundation. Because as smart as your data insights are,
Yeah.
you could have a lot of data. If it's not organized and if it's not providing the insights in a meaningful way, it's not hitting the mark. And
Right.
then, in addition to having a robust and strong data foundation, you also need a very good, solid API foundation.
Hmm.
So, like Enterprise Service Bus. So, that enables, once you have the data, that enables you to distribute the data across your technology ecosystem, real time, near real time, batch, whatever your preference is for that integration. Once you have those two strategies in place, then instead of starting to build AI models from scratch, which is a very expensive affair,
Hmm.
I recommend partnering with established companies like Microsoft, Amazon Web Services,
Hmm.
where you can get some early wins with relatively less investment. And then once you prove it to the organization that you have the potential and the value that's being generated out of your initial investments with these partnerships, then you can start building some custom models on top of the partnerships that you have. So I would say the classic crawl, walk, run philosophy,
Hmm.
and starting with partnerships, ensuring you have a good, robust data and API strategy.
So, working our way very quickly through the rest of this interview, a few more very specific questions about AI. From your perspective at Wescom, what is AI's role in cybersecurity?
This is what keeps me up at night,
Mm.
Michael.
Uh-oh.
As you heard in the news over the last months and years, the increase in data loss,
Mm-hmm.
the rampant surge in ransomware attacks,
Yeah.
organizations being down for not hours, but multiple days,
Yeah.
weeks, is a big threat, not just for us, but it's a big threat for the entire credit union industry. And there is a perception out there that the big banks have huge investments in cybersecurity, whereas the credit unions may not have. And so we are on a journey to completely change that perception
Mm-hmm.
at Wescom. So we are making significant investments in cybersecurity. In fact, I just completed our annual budget approval with our board earlier this week. And it was a good decision. It was a very supportive decision. But it was a very reinforcing decision that, hey, we want to make sure that we invest appropriately in cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is going to be a huge factor when it comes to cybersecurity. Just as an example, at Wascom,
Please.
we have our SIM, we have our data loss prevention systems,
Mm-hmm.
we have our threat detection system. And all these cybersecurity systems, they generate a lot of events. And if you look at our dashboard, these events are not in hundreds of thousands, we're generating millions of events. And it is not humanly possible to review each and every event. So the role of AI is going to be to use machine learning, to use predictive analytics, use historical data, and to filter out the false positives. It will also enable us to automatically react to threats like disabling
Mm-hmm.
IPs, blocking server access, and then also prioritize events based on severity for your cybersecurity team to review. Across all the domains that AI is going to be influential, cybersecurity is going to hugely benefit, and our teams are going to hugely benefit because the limited team size and the limited time that we have, the AI bots will not only protect us from your regular threats, but from the more complex threats. It's going to bump it up into the pipeline so that our team gets to that severe problem sooner than later to protect our members' assets and our Wescom organizational assets as well.
We'll have you back to do a special "What Keeps You Up at Night" episode because there's a lot to unpack in this cybersecurity stuff. So thanks for setting the table as far as Wescom and what you all are thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could do a whole separate podcast on that for
We
sure. That's
will.
a huge issue, absolutely. So glad to hear you're getting on top of that. It's a major issue and keeps everyone up at night in the credit union industry. So, okay, so Joseph, a final question here before we get into our part two of the interview, just kind of wrapping things up here with AI. So earlier you mentioned how all the things you're doing with AI is sort of the tip of the iceberg here. As we know, we're in the early phases of it. Where do you see AI going in the future when you think about that at Wescom or even for other credit unions in the industry? I guess first at Wescom, do you have any specific plans for the next few years about where this might go? And do you think about, like, when you envision 10, 15 years in the future, what do you picture it doing?
So, our journey with AI, as I mentioned earlier, is to make sure that we are delivering value. So, the future that I see with AI at Wescom, and I think this should be true for any organization, is to make sure that the AI delivery is enabling the organization's strategic objectives. We recently merged with a credit union, Wescom merged with a credit union up in the Central Coast Federal Credit Union. And so we are in this growth trajectory. Wescom is the official banking partners for UCLA Athletics. We are now the official banking partners of Knott's Berry Farm. And so our goal with AI is to fuel the growth strategy that we are aspiring at Wescom. When I joined Wescom back in
Mm-hmm.
2019, we were a little over 3 billion in assets. Fast forward 5 years now, we are almost 6.5 billion in assets, and we are marching towards the 10 billion mark. So AI, from my perspective, absolutely needs to enable that growth strategy. And then also the engagement strategy with our existing members, have them review additional products and services, how we could truly enable their financial lives. And then from a broader ecosystem, there's going to be disruption in every industry. So, how is Wescom financial services objective going to serve the ever evolving industry around us? Our members don't just work for financial institutions, they work across the domain. So, how do we keep an eye on the ever evolving landscape around us and we position our products and services to best serve them? We want to make sure that members interact with us using their channel of choice. So we always going to invest in our branches and our contact centers. But the digital domain is going to be disrupted in many, many impactful ways. Like my 13-year-old daughter,
Hmm.
the way she envisions the world, the way she consumes information is a slightly different from my 17-year-old son.
Hmm.
They have different social media platforms, they interact differently. So the evolution of AI would be to personalize that experience for my 13-year-old daughter, which is different from my 17-year-old daughter or from another member who is about to retire.
Yeah.
So adding insight, just like we went from phones to smartphones, all our applications and systems are going to be smarter, and it's going to create many more opportunities for us to take our member experience to the next level.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, we really look forward to seeing what Wescom does in the future and kind of your continued journey,
Oh, yeah.
which clearly will keep changing, and everyone has to be open to change as they have had to be, especially the last few years. So, okay, Joseph, let's go ahead and move on to the second part of our interview. And this is the fun part because it is all about you. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, great. Okay, so you said you were born and raised in Mumbai. So how long have you been in the US?
So it's a fun story. I've been here since 1997.
Okay.
So when I was working in Mumbai, I started my career as from my college. I had a campus interview, got into this job, and I was barely 2 months into that job. And my manager came in. At that time, back in 97, if you could just spell computers, you would find a job anywhere in the world. Just spell
Oh,
it,
wow.
because the demand was so high. And so the manager came in and said, "Hey, Joseph, I know you're only 2 months into this job, but you need to go to the US for an assignment." At that time, the organization was Hughes Aircraft, which was a defense, it's all by Raytheon at this point.
Yeah.
And the reason was my manager in India had quit for a better opportunity. The lead in the US had quit for a better opportunity. So I was the most experienced with 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And the manager said, "Hey, you're going to go to the US, but you have to return in 3 months because there's a lot of other seniors waiting for opportunities to go to the US, UK, and everything else." So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
had 3 months. So I came in here, I landed in SoCal. The organization that I worked for was in El Segundo. And I worked really, really hard and I played really, really hard. I visited Universal Studios, Disneyland. I even went to Las Vegas, Grand Canyon. I did it all in 3 months.
Great.
And at the end of 3 months, my manager comes in and say, "Hey, by the way, can you stay back and work at this other client?" And the joke is I never left,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that's my story. And I love it here
Wow.
and I love the weather and opportunities to
Absolutely.
move to
Well,
other
that's a great
states.
story.
And I love it here.
Fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah, you got lucky though. Yeah, right place and the right time for sure. So I'm just curious, you still have family out in India? Do you go back to visit at all?
Yes, I have my sister who lives in India. My other sister lives in Switzerland. The
Okay.
frequency of visits to India has reduced. It was a lot more when I first came in. But yeah, I
Yeah.
travel to India. And the reason I travel to India is mainly for my kids,
Hmm.
because I can tell you our country is the best country here in the US. There's no other country like America.
Right.
And I want my kids to appreciate what they have here,
Mm.
Absolutely.
because the journey, the issues, the problems, the experiences that I had, I want them to see and appreciate what they don't have to go through and
Absolutely.
make sure that they are fortunate
Yeah.
Of
to
course.
be in a place like in a country like America.
Yeah, I also know what you mean because I traveled to Southeast Asia a few months ago for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and big difference, big culture shock. And yeah, it does make you appreciate a lot of little things that you take for granted. So I can see that.
So you pointed out, Joseph, you've already laid out some examples about how you play hard and you work hard. I want to focus on your playing hard really quick. A little bit ago, Natasha was doing some research and she sent me a link on your LinkedIn page that you competed in the Credit Union Dancing with the Stars event with the CCUL Orange County Network just a couple of weeks ago, I think. First, what? What made you decide to participate? And I mean, you have to quickly tell me about your experience there.
That was a phenomenal experience. So this event is, of course, a dancing competition, but it's
Right.
for a good cause,
Sure.
right? The proceeds from this event go to the Children's Miracle Network, the RMJ Foundation.
Yeah.
So Wescom has been a huge participant in this event for the last many years. Well, I'm going to share. We won the event. Wescom won
No!
the popular vote.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We'll share pictures and videos soon.
We'll see the
So
video.
you asked
Amazing.
me the reason. I like to challenge myself
Yeah.
in many ways. And my joke is when I went through this experience and I was sharing with my partner, Tamar Atamian, who is the vice president of marketing at Wescom, that I realized there are parts of the brain, of my brain, that I've never touched or used in my entire life up until I took up this
Oh,
dancing venture.
Uh,
It's a ballroom dancing competition.
okay.
There were 7 teams, 7 different credit unions participated in this event, and each
Incredible.
team gets a type of ballroom dancing.
Okay.
They get to pick. Our dance style was mambo. Our
Awesome.
team was called Team Mambolicious, and we had such a good time. The best
Oh
part
my gosh.
was that we had 75 Wescom team members at that event
Oh.
and everybody cheering, the
Oh.
support, that kind of energized. It was a great. We refer to our team as the Westcom family, and that was one night to remember. Darren Williams was there, our Keith Pipes with a lot of the senior leadership team,
Great.
along with the broader team. It was a very, very memorable night for me.
Incredible. So we're gonna have you back for a cybersecurity episode and then a full Dancing with the Stars recap. Wonderful. That's amazing. And also congratulations. That's great.
yeah, no, that I love that. And if you do have the video available at some point, we'd love to add the link to our podcast
Oh,
page.
yes.
Maybe if you're okay with that. So that would be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, real quick, going back to life in the US with Thanksgiving, obviously coming up next week as we're recording this. This episode will come out after Thanksgiving, but wanted to ask, do you have a favorite American Thanksgiving dish?
I like my Thanksgiving turkey, and my wife does an amazing job. And what we typically do is because we don't have a lot of family here,
Hmm.
we invite friends over.
Yeah.
And in each friend, it's kind of like a potluck scenario. We do our
Yeah.
thing, and then they bring it. And so I enjoy a variety of dishes here for Thanksgiving. My favorite thing to eat at Thanksgiving is the pumpkin pie.
Okay.
And one of my friends' family, they take a lot of pride. They put in a lot of effort and it comes out really, really good. So, but I regretted the following day though, because I ate
Oh, come
a
on.
few
It's
more
once a year.
servings than I
Yeah.
should.
You'll
No,
be fine.
indulge yourself.
I want to go back to younger Joseph really quick. Do you remember the first album you ever bought or CD?
Was Michael Jackson. It's all-time favorite.
Which album?
I remember Michael Jackson toured India,
Yeah.
and this was after Thriller. So
Oh,
Thriller is
like
my all-time favorite.
Bad, like that album?
Yeah, Bad,
Yeah.
Thriller. I mean, these are all my favorite
Oh, that's
albums.
great.
No other artist can come close to Michael Jackson for me.
All right. Good pick.
Absolutely. Awesome.
And but my dancing does not reflect that though.
Noted.
Well, you're getting there, yeah, maybe next year. Keep at it. Keep at it. Okay. Final question here, Joseph. We always end our podcast with this question. What was the last movie you watched?
I was always a big fan of Quentin Tarantino,
Ooh.
and watched a lot of the movies that he has made in the recent past, like Kill Bill and everything else.
Hmm.
But I had never watched Pulp Fiction.
Mm.
And so I've heard great things about that movie. And so that was the last movie that I watched and I enjoyed it. I
Awesome.
loved it.
Yeah. I actually watched that for the first time, I think 2 years ago as well, so I'm with you in that I missed the boat when it came out, but definitely a good one.
I saw that, Joseph, in theaters when it came out, a little art house theater in the 90s,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was blown away. I was like, "What? You can
Wow.
make a movie like this?" That was insane back then. Great pick.
You move on to the next scene and it's like, okay, I'm not going to assume or predict this, and then something amazing happens. And
Yeah.
I've met Quentin in person as well, at
Amazing.
a
Oh,
film
wow.
festival. So great guy, and I love his movies.
Well, that's the third episode you're coming back for to talk about Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Yeah. It just keeps getting better.
Very
Oh my
good.
gosh. Okay. All right, Joseph. Well, this has been so much fun. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up here. So, Joseph Pellissery, SVP of Technology and CIO at Wescom Credit Union, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. And this was a lot of fun getting to know you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed. I loved the format. I enjoyed the
Thank
conversation,
you.
and I look forward to many, many more. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You too, Joseph.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Really appreciate it. And for all of our listeners, please subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever. You know how this works. And if you want to rate us, we would love your feedback. And for those of you with questions or comments, feel free to email me over at nchilangarian@cutimes.com, or you can email Michael at mogden@cutimes.com.
As always, a big thank you to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Join us again next week for a new episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, thanks for listening.